One. Today, we're going to be covering new business, followed up by maybe old business, and then cover all the business because we decided to table the business from last monthly meeting. And but yeah, did I say we're going to do business tonight? Well, that's next on Live Free and Ham. Welcome and hello and welcome to Live Free and Ham. This is our weekly show where we discuss ham radio topics in New Hampshire, New England, and beyond. I'm just got business on the brain. I'm trying to be too professional. We are thrilled to have you here, whether you're a regular listener or tuning in for the first time, and we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us tonight. So let's get into our regular show here. I'm your host, Eric, callsign N1JUR, and with my illustrious co-hosts.
Hey, it's Paul, N1OG.
It's the General, W1STJ, Todd. Proud of it. Proud of it.
All right, well,
why do you sound like Eeyore?
I know, right, exactly. Well, it was me.
I'm so proud of it.
All right, man. Try to get back on track here. All right. So before we get
so proud to be a general,
we like to catch up on new things. Sorry. Anyway. All right. Anyway, so head over to our storefront at livefreeandham.com/shop and check out all of our merch. We're always adding new stuff to that. And as always, we've had a couple of new people pick up some cool things. I'd like to thank Thomas, N7TJG, for grabbing a sticker pack. You know, if you've been on our Discord, we've been talking, Boston slang. So heck, we're going to be offering the Live Free and Ham sticker pack. You can go pick up your sticker pack, get the original Grouch sticker there, and maybe get the the new OG sticker too. And I'm sounding like more New York there, so that, I don't know how it's going to play off there. But thank Tom for picking that up, and he also picked up a whiskey dram, as Paul so eloquently showed there earlier. We love our Live Free and Ham etched whiskey drams, and they have been selling. We appreciate all those folks have purchased in the past. There are still a few left, so if you are waiting and you're one of those folks that just drag your feet, like you're the guys or gal that waits till the last minute on the day before Christmas Eve to go shopping for your wife, then this is the time, my friend. This is the time where you need to go head over to our store and pick yourself up a whiskey dram there, maybe two. That way you're safeguard to make sure you have a spare in case you lose the first one, and so you can always pick that up. And then without any further ado, we got to spread some love this past weekend with our lovely hammies. Paul and I had some fun hanging out with the old Salty Walt there at Marconi's wireless site in the Cape. And guess what? We had a couple people come by, showed up, and I was able to pull those little hammies out and give them a nice token, because I forgot my stickers, but we won't talk about that, and shared some ham love there. And as Paul is so wonderfully displaying there on his microphone in full naked view there, our little hammy there with a little token on the bottom, you can write your call sign and you can drop these. Again, this is like the Jeep community, but way better. So if you've got people that you've seen that got antennas, or you've been walking through parking lots and you spy cars that might have a ham radio antenna, well, now you can actually leave your calling card there and drop a little pig either on the dash or on the handle or anywhere in the vehicle. And it's a nice way to say, hey dude, I see your antennas and I think you're a pretty cool ham. So head on over to Get Hammed, GETHAMMED, and check out that and maybe pick up your own hams and help support this and spread some ham love. All right. Well, and so did I tell everybody, like we always say every week, we love feedback, and we are hungry for it. We want to hear from you guys. We want you guys to be part of the community. It's a great way to kind of just to be able to engage us and to have some good old fashioned back and forth banter. You can reach out in many different ways. The simple, easy stuff is obviously you can use the SMS link in all of our show notes and descriptions, both on our YouTube channel and our podcast. Just by clicking that, you can send us an SMS text message. Make sure you leave your call sign and your name there so we can give the proper credit due. But as we always like to say, you can leave us a voicemail. What are you waiting for? As the ticker shows down below, this is the best way to be able to reach out to us and leave your thoughts. Tell us about, the latest ham activity you've done, or, maybe you picked up a new radio and you struggle with something. We're glad to, give you some tips and tricks. You can always leave us a voicemail 24/7. And in fact, if you're listening to this on the podcast, I encourage you to stop the podcast, dial our number. And Todd, what is our number?
Why, you ask me?
Why? Because we do it every week. It's almost like
978-233-1142.
There
Terrible
you go,
with numbers.
Well, and it's right at the bottom of the screen, so you should have no problem. Except if you have English as your first language, we'll have to work on that one. So yes, you can leave us a voicemail. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And it's always available 24/7. So like I said, you can stop the podcast right now, dial that number, leave us a voicemail, tell us you said hello, drop us whatever. And actually, we got a voicemail to share with you soon, coming up in a second or two there. So, don't wait any longer. We want to hear from you. And as always, if you're one of those types that like to send an email, you can always send us an email at livefreeandham@gmail.com. So, maybe you're new to the Live Free and Ham community and you haven't heard that once a month, we always do a live stream, and that could be any day of that month. And, we usually don't even know sometimes when we're going to do it. And so the way you can be in on the know is to head on over to our YouTube page, make sure you're a subscriber. And if you are a subscriber, make sure you take that next step and hit that bell so you get notified when we go live, because like I said, we don't know sometimes when we go live, there we go, that, we will flip that switch and all of a sudden, you guys can come be part of the action, have some fun, because once again, it's a great way to be able to just be part of the community and hang out with us. And we love, always, surprising folks with, these live streams, because we, like I said, we're not that coordinated. We're not that scheduled. We're not that rigid. We just kind of pick a day and go with it. All right. Well, so with that, we also have our little secret. So if you're a Patreon member, and we know there's a bunch of people in our Patreon group that support us, you can now become a Patreon member. And what do you get as a Patreon member? Well, you get immediate access to all our shows before they're released to the public. You get early access to our uncut video episodes. And now, as we're finished working out the details, you'll have a audio only podcast stream of our uncut episodes. And that's usually released a week to 2 weeks before. So you get all of the ins and the nos and knows what's going on with all of the Live Free and Ham crew here way before all of the regular episodes are released to the public. We also have access to early discounts, merch, meetups, members only live streams, which are coming soon. And so, as we always say, as Bob Koff says,
you can join for as little as $3 a month. It's not a big expense.
Nope. It is not.
You can join for as little as $3 a month. It's not a big expense.
Did you get that? It takes 3 times for people to get used to that. So anyway, no. Outside of that, you can become a Patreon member and come, hang out with us and be the cool kids, as they say. All right. Well, with that, let me shift gears here and head on over to.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Hey, everybody, we got some news.
Slow down, Boog. Let me handle this. We've got some news. I've got bad news and bad news.
I have reviewed ship's personnel, Captain.
Congratulations, you've got mail.
All right. Well, over to our mailbag man. How's it go, Todd? What do we got?
It's going. I just lost it. We did get an email from Shannon, who was on our last podcast, K1LYWN. No, that's not her.
Yep. K1LY. That's Shannon. Yep. K1LY is Shannon, and she sent us an email. She addressed it to Eric, and I think she just sent it to Eric alone. Or yeah,
did she send it to all of us?
to my N1JUR account. So
there you go. All right, but it's for Live Free and Ham. So it says, "Hope you're doing well. We put up a video link and got you all tagged on Facebook. But good news, I also created a club website on Monday, the day after our interview with you guys. Working on setting up who is going to do the Discord for the club. Would love to hear your feedback on that if you get a chance. I've included our website link. We've also listed you guys as honorary club members, which is awesome because
nice job.
That's pretty cool. Hope that it's okay. But additional good news, based on your suggestion, the day we put out the website, we had 3 new prospective members reach out, and we're working on offering them an invitation to join our club. All our previous club members from the other club that were members of. Again, thank you for the club. Thank you from the club and all of us individually. So that was awesome. They are an awesome little club that they started. Awesome people. I had a really good time on the last podcast. And when I go down to North Carolina, I'm going to hunt them down and do a photo with them.
In a good way, of course.
Yeah, of course. They were a lot of fun. I like them a lot. So thank you so much. And it's an honor to be an honorary member.
Yeah, dude, this is monumentous. I could actually put this in our, goals and accomplishments kind of document. So we, get this set in stone, and maybe we'll once we finally get the official patches, whenever those show up, we'll all be able to, have a official, club member photo of all of us together wearing our patches and overalls.
Well, and so what is it, right? You know you're famous when you get honorary positions.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
There we go. We made it, boys. We made it.
We have.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Now the only other thing on the checklist is to get the hate mail. That's when you know you really made it.
2 down, 1 to go. Very cool. Well, dude, that's awesome. So, we got anything else in the mailbag there?
Not for us, not in the emails or anything, but yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, we've got one special, thing that's not related to anything except probably a voicemail. So I'm going to play it anyway, and maybe those that have the trained ear can hear exactly what the message might be. But we'll have to have Todd explain a little bit of what we're hearing and why, and who the evil, crazy mastermind behind it, who created it. So let me cue it up here.
Is that AOL?
It could be.
You've got mail.
Before AOL was popular. Yeah.
This is what we get?
This is confusing, dude. When I first got this, I was like, did we get a fax? Because I'm thinking, like, why did we get a fax? How did this convert to a fax? And then I realized, oh, no, wait.
You've got mail.
Slow scan TV.
There you go.
I was like, it's slow scan TV. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and it was impressive. So I posted to the guys on Discord, and what did we come to? Like, did we come to a conclusion?
Well, so I mean, I got some halfway decent decodes, but it wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been much better if the recording was a direct sampling of the audio source rather than like listening to all the other ambient noises as well.
Sneezes, coughs, Mike. we have to say that I spent a little while decoding it. I think it took me 5 times to decode it, to try to figure it out, because my little mobile app, this SSTV mobile app I have on my iPhone, couldn't quite hear the audio because it wasn't strong enough in certain parts. And I was getting a little bit of an image, and I was like, give it to Paul and see what he comes up with. And he wasn't in much better luck.
Yeah. Well, we did find out who it was from, right? So we knew it was from Mike, N2MAK, and he's always sending us win links. Oh, nice.
You can see. not really great. So we'll present
we did get the
image.
We finally got the official image, and I'm just gonna say, yeah, that's not our new logo. Nope, not gonna happen. I mean,
we're not expanding.
New York. I mean, there's only a few things that are good about New York. I'm gonna say the Yankees, and I know this is a New England show, but the Yankees that's my team, and then maybe Cooperstown, but everything else, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, 100%. Now, Mike, I don't understand.
I'll stick with this state.
Yeah,
exactly. Now, Mike, I don't understand why black and white was your thing. But maybe it was like you were going for the simplistic kind of logo because New Yorkers are complex, well, we won't say what they are, but anyway, I'll have to say that I am not saying that Live Free and Ham is the most excellent podcast in the Northeast. Do we even consider New York Northeast, really?
We do, but they're not New England. Even though they want to be, they're not.
Okay. All right. So that we clarify.
So they're the Northeast.
Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont.
Yeah. But they are not New England. Even though they want to be and they keep petitioning to be part of New England, us New Englanders say, nope, not going to happen.
We could say they're a DEI initiative, maybe?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's possible.
I mean, I think Massachusetts has been annexed from New England. It's just now it's just Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. That's it.
Yeah.
We're the last 3 states in New England that have some sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Look, it should be a rule. If you can carry a gun concealed without a permit, you can be in New England. So that leaves Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont.
Okay.
And like 29 other states.
Well, I'm just saying in New England. You go into New York, you're probably going to do a year in jail. I know if you go down to Mass, you're looking at a year in jail for just. So anyway, I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, Mike, New York.
Yep.
Yeah. Massachusetts, it's a felony for the gun, and then it's a felony for every round that you've got.
Great.
And it will be a felony now for poorly designed logos with using the New York State as an option there. So, we add that to the list.
I will say though, New York is a quite a large state, and upstate New York, especially like where Mike's from and up there, is a lot different than New York City, which is a whole nother animal, and the people are a lot different too. So, New York City is just a huge city, and when I grew up in northern New Jersey, when I think when people think New York City, I remember the first time I went to Boston. I'm like, this is it? Like, this is the big city of Boston? Like, that's it?
Apple.
Because New York is like, forget even the boroughs, but if you cross the Hudson River, you've got Newark, Jersey City. It all blends into one huge thing. And I don't know if you've ever flown over New York City at night. It is just lights everywhere for as far as you can see. So it is a huge metropolis. But upstate New York, I'll give them this. It is a pretty state, and there's a lot of good wildlife and a lot of good things to do up there. Yeah, there's good parks. You got Cooperstown, and they got some good breweries up there too. So
Still not worth a vote of changing the logo to New York State.
No.
So we're accepting any and other submissions, but New York is right out. So.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Mike, though, for spending that extra time recording your Scan TV message so we can actually spend 20 more minutes of our waking life trying to figure out what the hell this is.
And now I can't wait to see what he does next, because who knows what he's going to send us.
Throwing the gauntlet down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good deal on that. Thank you again, Mike. We were as from New York, but definitely a good attempt there. I appreciate all the effort, and looking forward to what concoctions you can whip up next that we'll throw at you. All right. Well, with that, let's go into our next episode here.
Doing good. Good. Doing good.
You do. That's good.
Do good? Do good?
You're doing good.
Absolutely, I do. Good.
Doing good, Bob. Doing real good.
Right now, my only outlet is my ham radio.
All right. Well, this isn't really a do good thing. So I'm actually going to give the floor to Paul for this one before I get into the do good stuff, because he does have a WinLink email, but the WinLink person who sent the WinLink email didn't send it as a do good, episode. So, or a story. Although, do you think it is a do good? Okay. All right.
It is. It's the subject line is do good.
Okay, so I'm not on my link, so I got the details of the body of the message.
This is why
like it was a do good.
This is why Paul does the win link and not Eric.
Exactly right. Yes, exactly. Well, hey, I can't do everything around here. Anyway, just kidding. All right, so well, then we're just going to kick this segment off here. So we all aspire to do good in ham radio, and including myself, even though I fail miserably. So whether you're just assisting in a disaster, providing communications for local road race, or hosting a POTA meetup, we all love to participate in ham radio activities. So that includes the hillbilly guys too, and they've got plenty of those. They do POTA literally every freaking weekend, as an example. So sometimes we allow those stupid negative voices to take front and center, and I'm saying no longer are we doing that. We're gonna give you guys the floor to be able to share a do good, or share something you did that you did with your club, or did with a bunch of people that you hung around with. Share that story with others, so that maybe inspires other people to get out there and do more ham radio in the public and just in general, and have fun doing it. And so with that, we've got a do good, apparently, WinLink email only. And so you know what that means. They've become one of our honorary members that get added to the honor roll of people that have sent type A do good WinLink emails, which basically gives them a front row center ticket to our, hopefully soon, private live stream. So keep an eye out for that. And maybe that might be an incentive for a few others that might want to throw into the ring, maybe in the future episodes. So there still is time. But with that, I'm going to throw it over to Paul, and he can read that message there and, maybe inspire you.
All right. So you too can be like Kilo Quebec 4 Alpha Lima Kilo and send me your win link. The subject is do good. And he writes, Paul, Eric, and Todd, I found out about your podcast through the episode you shared on Linux and the Ham Shack, and I've been hooked ever since. And we're glad to hear it. Still working on the backlog, I thought I'd share something that one of my clubs decided on implementing. Even though it's small, I think it will help. As the VE liaison for the club as of next May, cheers, fellow VE liaison, I proposed the idea of providing an inexpensive HT to anyone who passes their technician exam and doesn't already have a radio. I will be pre-programming them all with the local repeaters as well as the simplex frequencies for VHF and UHF just to get them started. Especially for young hams who may not have the money to pick up even an HT, I think that this will go a long way towards showing what kind of people hams can be. Anyways, thanks again for all you do for the hobby. I advocate for your show as much as I can down here in Georgia. 73 Kilo Quebec 4 Alpha Lima Kilo, Derek Payne, VE Liaison, Amateur Radio Club of Butts County, Georgia.
Nice.
So,
nice.
That's
Butts
awesome.
County.
That's awesome. I mean, it kind of reminds me. Remember, Eric, we were at some ham radio thing, and that little kid just was working on his ticket or whatever, and you gave him
the one at Hamex, yeah.
Yeah, and he was so excited, and he was like just hanging around it was like our first time trying to do a live stream, right?
from Hamex.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't very smooth, and we did what we could. But anyway, I just remember that the look in that kid's eyes, and he was so excited to get like this. What did you get? Was it the 300? Or was it at HT? It was a 300. 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just like it was like the kid was like having the best Christmas of his life. Like
so that's the second story. That was that teenager that was looking for the 300 that I gave him my 300. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the little kid who was getting his extra, but yeah.
Oh no, let's not go on to that kid. That was last year.
Sorry.
Yeah. These guys, they just will not let it go. Like I'm going to have to.
In the wound.
Yeah. We'll go to that one first. This kid was like, he was a young kid, maybe was he a teenager, like 12,
he was
13?
Like 15. Yeah. No, it's actually 15, 16, but yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, anyway, he really just, like, he was so happy, and I mean, he couldn't have been more excited. I guarantee he went home and set that thing up, like, telling his dad. Now, speaking of the other kid, so that kid's dad was a general. And what he says, yeah, my kid just started taking tests and he outranks me now. And
he's an extra.
Yeah. I don't know, he probably cheated. He definitely cheated.
That's going to be the logical answer. He couldn't have studied to actually,
come on,
be an extra. All you have to do is memorize the questions.
There's 300 questions.
You don't have to memorize all of them because they're not going to give you all of them. But
well, you see how well I do.
The extra class pool is, I think, 650 questions, if I remember right.
Oh, is it that many? Is that why it's taking me so long? I've seen them all.
The V Quizmaster.
650 questions.
Yeah, I think tech in general are 350 somewhere around there, and yeah.
Oh, Richard said some percentage are so small and minute that you'll never see every single one of those questions in the entire question pool because of the way it's structured. So, yeah, you never have to really worry about that. But yeah, dude, that's an awesome story. I'm pretty impressed.
That's awesome.
Derek, keep it up. Thank you for professing live free and ham from the mountaintops.
Maybe we can bring that into our club.
Yeah,
Ralph has enough Bao Feng,
Chinese radios
to give away to new. We just have a box of them. Say, take one.
He's working on dealership.
You passed your technician here. What radio would you like?
You did hear about his story about how he was trying to become a Quancheng dealership or dealer for the U.S. in our general area. The only issue was he had to actually, the lady who was the sales rep from China was also asking to be a mail order bride for him. So I don't know if that was organized in the deal or how it played out, but I don't think it's it's still kind of in the works. So we'll leave it. We'll figure out how that plays out.
I believe he's already married. I'm sure his wife would not
we
be
all know
thrilled
that,
about
but
one.
Hey, Quanchengs are Quanchengs. It's like Paul's t-shirt says $20, $25 is $25. Oh, cool. All right. Well, as always, that's a good win link, do good message. And so hopefully that inspires folks.
So he's coming on, right?
He's part of the honor roll, the crew that type A's, as we'll call them. They'll be on our private live stream. Yeah, it'd be good to see them and definitely hear more of their stories because I'm sure those guys are definitely doing more stuff even as we speak. So awesome. Well, we obviously, there are many ways we've shared several times over and over again, but this is where we love to be able to hit our very special jingle because the easiest way is to leave us a voicemail. And so, Paul, do you have your finger on the pulse?
Yeah.
Live free and ham, you can. Join the fun, be the biggest fan. Call that number and lend an ear. Live free and ham, it's crystal clear. From morning blues to midnight snack, they've got the scoop, never looking back. Stories, news, and quirky bits, it's the podcast that's full.
If we ever get the show budget, we're going to have Vegas showgirls rolling in the back. That's just the way I look at it. So awesome. Well, like we say, you can always leave us a voicemail or you can head over to livefreeandham.com/do good, fill in a form there or use our comment form or I don't care. Just send us a carrier pigeon. We want to hear from you. Let us know what's going on in your club or even in your little geographic area of the world and, share the ham radio love. All right. So as we finally roll into and as we give Todd so much crap over this because we know how popular this segment is with this show, that, everybody tails off after we've gone through all of these, this little segment here, but we're going to dive right into it. And now a little something extra with Todd, W1STJ. So I'm going to modify that intro a little bit as we start to get further and further into the question pool and Todd does not schedule a test. I'm going to throw little zingers in there every once in a while. So every new episode will have a little zinger just to kind of add to the fun element of surprise. Anyway, so let me get into it. Yep, you heard it here. This is where we help Todd study for his extra class license. In each episode, we so eloquently run. We pick 3 questions from the extra class question pool to test Todd in his knowledge, hoping he gets his upgrade. Hoping and waiting and praying.
I'm a very
and wanting.
bad test taker.
Yes,
very bad.
Whatever. You did that general like flying colors. Anyway. All right. So if you'd like to follow along, you can always head over to hamstudy.org. It's a great resource to prepare you for your test and it's recommended by 4 out of 4 VEs because we don't go to the ARL any longer to ask them of their opinion. So without any further delay, let's hand it over to our VE Quizmaster. Paul, take it away, sir.
Again, I hit the wrong one.
Oh boy, the button again. The button. Yeah, I guess
the wrong button. All right. So we are continuing with all questions from the extra class exam pool. So you never know what you're going to get. But tonight's first question happens to have SSTV in it. So what kind of receiver can be used to receive and decode STV using the digital radio mondial protocol? Is it A, AM, B, Arden, C, single sideband, or D, CDMA?
On your button. What the heck? There we go. Oh, there we go. 3rd time's a charm. Gonna change the button so it actually plays.
Huh. I'm gonna go with C. I don't know. Just a guess.
No, I don't know isn't an answer.
Yeah,
it's
it is
on the list at least.
It is on the list. It's right there below
right.
D.
Come on, Dad. I'm gonna go with D.
Eric, did you say D?
Yeah. Just a few. Because I like hearing the song. I know it's sideband.
Yes, it's sideband. CDMA is the old cell phone.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I go, didn't I have a phone that had that?
All right, so SSTV, slow scan TV, is a digital mode used for sending pictures, still images, to one another. This is done in the phone portion of the band using single sideband. So you can look at the SSTV wiki for more info, but your hint is SSTV uses SSB.
All right.
All right. So question number 2. In what units are the wavelength scales on a Smith chart calibrated? Is it A, in fractions of antenna electrical wavelength? B, in fractions of transmission line electrical wavelength? C, in fractions of antenna electrical frequency? Or D, in fractions of transmission line electrical frequency?
Oh, I hate these questions. It's like every other word is wrong.
Oh, that sucks. Like,
yeah, this is a trick question. This is just to make you lose one. All right, let's see. Fraction transmission. It's either. I think it's either B or D. And I'm going to go with B.
Wait a minute. Oh, it's D.
Of course, it's the one I didn't pick.
All right. Well, Todd said B.
Oh! Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
B is correct.
Man.
Nice.
Wavelength and
See, I actually might be learning this shit while I was studying.
As we had a post on our YouTube channel a while ago, like in this last episode, someone should take Eric's extra level away because he keeps screwing up. Like, thank God they can't.
See, now I got to get this last one right, or I'm screwed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, to explain question number 2, so the wavelength scales on a Smith chart are calibrated in fractions of transmission line electrical wavelength. The outer ring of a Smith chart defines fractional electrical wavelength of feed line starting at 0 and ending at 0.5, which is half the electrical wavelength. It also defines the direction towards the generator. This is a hint indicating that this is a feed line length and not an antenna length. Smith charts are useful to determine feed line length required to match a load to a radio transmitter. So your hint, think wavelength, how far a bird flies or bird flew, FLEW, fractions of transmission line electrical wavelength. I mean, that's a complicated little, acronym there, but all right.
Suck.
That's what I feel like. Anyway, all right, let's get out. We're getting into the graph sections of test. I hate this stuff. Anyway, all right, I feel your pain, my friend. I feel your pain.
All right. So in the figure E5-1, which point in the figure best represents the impedance of a series circuit consisting of a 300 ohm resistor, an 18 microhenry inductor at 3.505 megahertz? And I'll move the question down so you can see the answers here. Is it A, 0.7, which is down here in the lower left quadrant, B, 0.1, which is in the bottom right quadrant, C, 0.8, and 0.8 is in the upper right quadrant, or D, 0.3, and 0.3 is in the very top of the right upper quadrant.
Oh,
You gotta do a little math there, 300 ohm resistor, 18 microhenry inductor.
I'm gonna say it's D.
You're just gonna wing it and go, yeah, it's that little guy up top there.
I think it's D.
I'm gonna go with D because just kind of
copycat.
It sits well with me. I'll put it that way.
Radio Shack. Relax.
Bam!
Yeah,
3 out of 3.
Look at that.
Nice.
0.3 is correct. There's the explanation. So here we go. Technical explanation. We need some ape slides for this, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
The impedance of the inductor Z sub L equals 2 pi FL, where F is the frequency of interest, L is the inductance in henries. So you have to convert your microhenries to henries. The J value of the impedance of an inductor is positive. So Z sub L equals 2 pi times 3.505 megahertz times 18 henries. Since the frequency here is in megahertz and the inductance, it's microhenries. Since the frequency is in megahertz and the inductance is in microhenries, then the mega 10 to the 6th power and micro 10 to the negative 6th power exponents cancel one another. And so your long form math here, Z sub L equals 2 pi times 3.505 megahertz times 18 microhenries equals 2 pi times 3.505 times 18, which equals 396.4 ohms. And in a series circuit with a 300 ohm resistor, the total impedance is 300 plus the 396.4 ohms, which is in the upper right quadrant of the figure at about the 300 in the plus X direction and about 400 in the plus Y direction, corresponding to 0.3 in figure E5-2.
Holly Smoot tariffs did what again? Or
Phenomena.
all I have to say,
Phenomena.
because that all was sounded great on paper.
Yeah, it's a little bit of math and a little bit of understanding, but great guess and congratulations,
great guess.
Todd.
I knew the answer. You know how many I got? I mean, when I've been studying that, I got it wrong so many times. It just the 3 sticks in my head.
So I think I got one question right, and I still want to hear my song.
No, I got is none.
75%, my friend. 75%.
Just because Eric wanted to hear it.
Awesome. All right. Well, so if you're on the journey just studying for your technician general extra class license, in that case, hamstudy.org is an awesome resource for getting your ticket. And so, as we always like to say every episode, and we really mean it, if you've received your license or maybe upgraded, we want to know. So, and we want to recognize you, obviously. So you need to head on over to send us an email at livefreeandham@gmail.com or hit us up on the Discord, and we'll make sure we give you the creds and kudos for, getting your upgrade. And Paul, do we have any in the pipeline that you know of?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay. No problem, sirs and madams and everybody in between. If you get your ticket, we want to hear about it. We want to celebrate with you. So send us an email, post up on a Discord, or send us using our comment form, and we'll make sure we mention you in the next episode. Okay, well, enough with all of the pleasantries there, my friends. So let's get into our usual show format. As always, Paul, how is your ham radio week been, sir?
Well, shit.
One of those weeks.
No, it was all right. So it was a long drive.
It was the good shit.
It was the good shit. Yeah. it was the shit.
That type of can't get that from here type thing. Got it. Understood.
Yeah. So it was a long drive. It was just under 3 hours each direction. But awesome to go to my least favorite state in the entire country, out on the Cape, and activate a park with Salty Walt and the one and only infamous N1JUR. Yeah, well, it was a great time. You showed up late, and that was okay. It gave Walt and I some time to get some contacts and. He showed me around before we set up, and you totally missed it. But so I was bragging about my awesome POTA antenna, right? And how I love my POTA antenna because it sets up so fast and it's resonant, so I don't need a tuner. And we happen to have a tree that was like the perfect size and the perfect distance from the picnic table.
And for those that not know the Grouch, what is your perfect POTA antenna, my friend?
The Reliance Bug Out Mini end-fed half-wave 40 through 10.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I keep all of my antenna components. It's like the BNC to SO239, PL259 adapters, tent stakes for staking the anchor line down, throw weight, paracord. I mean, you name it, it all fits in one little bag. It's phenomenal. But so I was setting it all up, and I grabbed my throw weight and I go to throw it, and I literally threw it straight up in the air and it came straight down.
I missed that.
and so, you know, Walt kind of chuckled, and he was like, "Hey, it's all right. You know, like I played baseball and I can't throw an antenna in a tree." And so, second attempt, I got it, nailed it, went right over the tree, sailed right over. And it was awesome. I had to, in my AI song that I write the lyrics and shit for my songs, for my videos. I had to put in a funny bit because we had a spectator. Now this guy,
North Carolina, we dubbed him that.
Yeah, I think he might have been maybe missing a few circuits up top. He kept like he had a fedora, like a basket weave kind of fedora, and he kept like throwing it into a bush, and then he'd get up and he'd pick it up and he'd hold it upside down like catching rain. But the funniest part was, so the picnic table that I had the antenna anchored to, right? The feed line part was hooked around the bench of the picnic table. And I figured, I mean, nobody's going to sit there. You know, I mean, there's clearly a fucking a coax line running from one picnic table to the other with the antenna line coming up in a diagonal off the picnic table. Like, nobody's going to sit there. No, this guy, he sat there for a long time, and he'd get up and he'd go back and he'd sit there again right next to the feed line. And it's like, man, this guy has to be like glowing by the time he went home.
We were recharging him like a battery.
So if you pay attention to the song lyrics when the video comes out next week, you'll notice that there's a part of the song where it's like, this dude sat down next to the feed line and now he glows and he picks up shortwave.
Through his molars.
Yeah, I just, I couldn't help it. I thought it was too funny. But yeah, what a great activation though. What a ton of fun. The food was great afterwards. Like it was 100% well worth the drive. So, I mean, that's all I did ham radio wise, but it was a ton of fun.
Awesome.
And it made the week. So.
Oh, yeah, dude, I'll tell you my side of the story, but yeah, it was a blast and it was awesome. Even though the weather was kind of like driving down there, you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to be in rain. I'm going to feel like crap. It's going to be sucky. And it didn't turn out that way at all. So it was awesome. But yeah,
I mean, it was still cold and wet.
Yep.
But it was tolerable.
It wasn't breezy. Like if we had a huge breeze, I was like, oh, that would have been miserable. But yeah, it was actually tolerable and I enjoyed it. I had fun. So yeah, I'll tell you my little two cents worth.
You can go because I didn't have a ham radio week. So go ahead.
Well, dude, okay, fine. Okay. So yeah, I too attended the weekend with Walt. We'll call it that. Or actually it wasn't a weekend, it was more Sunday, but it was pretty cool. I know I kind of will say it invited myself in, and not that I wasn't welcome. It was just like, I was like, hey guys, I'm coming. They're like, okay, sure, no problem. And I know Paul and Walt were having communications with one another with location and stuff like that.
Like, why is he coming?
Yeah, it wasn't like that. It was like, oh, again, N1JUR's here. Let's make this horrible.
Let's go down to DC instead, and we'll tell them we changed plans. Forgot to tell them.
Well, yeah, but the thing of it was though, right, is we discussed this all in the near live stream. And that's where we decided we were going to do this. Eric couldn't even make the fucking live stream.
Well, hey, I had work. I had work. So in essence, I can't, fault myself for that. The one time I have work, I have to go. So yeah.
But you were in the chat though. I never understood you were in the chat. So like you're working and chatting, you couldn't have just thrown your phone up. I didn't know
like all the final details were going to be ironed out in the chat. I assume that's like kind of like, hey, we're starting to have this conversation. So a week later we go to to the activation. And so like in the conversation in my chat, I was like, oh yeah, the Marconi Museum is like down in Chatham. And so those that know where the Marconi Museum in Chatham is, there's a park, Menominee Wildlife Management, that's literally like 2 miles from there. It's in a private neighborhood, and I've been there before. I've activated, so I was like, "Oh, dude, I know where to go. Like, you have to go on the beach, blah blah blah." So I get there after driving, and Paul's like, "Oh, I'm already there." I'm like, "Oh, cool, wow, he's really quick." I mean, it takes like 20 minutes to get to into the Cape from there, and so him and I are texting back and forth on the ride down. And I get to the parking lot and I'm looking around and there's 2 cars and neither of them are Paul's or Walt's. I'm like, I'm looking for a Jeep and I'm looking for a truck and none of them there. And my wife's like, where the hell are they? Did they just kind of stiff you? And I'm like, no, they couldn't have. Maybe they're at the other park over by the museum or maybe at the museum. So I texted Paul. Long story short, the decision was that they were going to the wireless site that Marconi did his thing, which was totally fine. And that's
was listed as Marconi Beach if you Googled it.
Correct. Yeah. And that I know of because it's like there's a nice, because I remember in the chat, I was like, dude, you should go over to Wellfleet's, beach, because Wellfleet Beach actually has another park there. And that is a phenomenal place to activate. I've been there before and activated from there, but I didn't know, it didn't make the connection in my head. So anyway, I text Paul and Paul's like, I'll send you the pin. And I get the pin and I'm like, that's another freaking 30 minutes away. I'm like, okay, great. So of course I had to stop to water the dog, have to stop for the wife, myself. And, of course,
what? It was all part of the plan.
It was, right. So they wanted, like I said, like I told my wife, I'm sure Paul and Walt want to have alone time to kind of get to know each other a little bit better, kind of that thing, and so when I got there, it was just like, they were already full bore into, 15 meters and activating, and Paul had his setup and everything. And, it was really cool because I didn't have to, I should have just left my gear in the truck. I mean, it made no sense to bring it to the bench because it just got rained on. But yeah, dude, that activation was totally awesome. I sometimes I don't know how people are going to take my humor when I'm on the radio and I play, and I do an activation. So I jumped in and I was like, all right, cool. I'm just going to be me. And I was being funny. And after a while, I kind of saw this pattern that we were a direct line of sight into North Carolina and South Carolina. We were getting South Carolina stations like there was no tomorrow.
Like, Walt, my boy.
Exactly. And I was getting to the point of am I getting punked or something? I feel like we just have this line of sight right to North Carolina. We can't get anything else. And every time Walt jumps on, he's like, oh, what part of North Carolina or South Carolina you're from? Oh yeah, I've been there. And he's got a story, and it's really cool to watch all this. And so I'm getting spicy when I'm now calling CQ. I'm like, please, will anybody who's not from North Carolina or South Carolina, please answer my CQ. I Georgia, Indiana, I don't care, anywhere else. Just don't, if you're from those states, don't answer. And of course everybody took that as a challenge and answered more. And so yeah, it was awesome. I was very, very happy. And it Walt actually even jumped in. I was pretty cool because you watch Walt's videos and he's pretty kind of serious. I mean, he does kind of have conversations, but he's not the the guy to kind of just chime in and go, hey, I love only North Carolina and South Carolina people, and I only want to hear from North Carolina and South Carolina people. And so yeah, I've got a lot of outtakes in my video clips and stuff like that I may have a second separate video just alone of all of those, kind of banter back and forth. So yeah, I had a blast too. And food and hanging out. Walt is impressive. I mean, he is a restaurateur, video kind of if you ever go with him, be prepared that he's going to take pictures of the restaurant. He's going to take pictures of the menu, the food, his 5 seconds of dialogue about what he sees and tastes and feels, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, it was good stuff.
Well, all right. So I got to tell you this because you can feel a little better about it because at least you made it to the activation before the activation was finished.
Okay.
All right. So now Mike, Tortoise Overland, was on the near live stream because he's in Massachusetts. And so while we were discussing this, he was like, oh, yeah, I'm in Massachusetts. I'll come meet up with you guys, too. Now, I don't use my phone when I'm driving.
Right.
All right. So he called me at one point, and I'm trying to navigate through frickin', I think, Leominster or some shit to get over to the highway. So I didn't call him. I asked my phone. You say those infamous 2 words, and the AI starts listening, right? You go, all right, send a message. And so I did that, and my phone sends him a message, and I was like, yes, we're still on. I'm on my way. and apparently communication is not my forte, and so he didn't get to show up at all.
And you're in ham radio and communication.
I know, right? Exactly. We found that very funny.
I suck at communicating, but I love ham radio.
Now, we did mention to the illustrious, random stranger. If you want to see that random stranger, head over to Walt, the Coastal Waves and Wires video. Check out the one with the NONOG, and you'll see what we're talking about for the guy. As Walt dubbed him, Mayor of North Carolina, because he literally kind of walked around like he was the mayor, in some form or fashion. But yeah, I dude, it was awesome. I thank you again for, let me kind of come hang out, but at the same time, it was just really cool just to, do a, 3-op activation, and the bands were awesome because Saturday, I was like, man, this is going to be horrible. I even brought my laptop to do FT8 with the possibility that we would be doing FT8 because I did not know what the bands were going to be.
And see, so I got a part in my song where their lyric line is, "Who brought FT8? Not you, because I never bring FT8 to the field. Fuck that."
Oh, I do. That is my backup to a backup, just in case I can't. All my fail safes. My daughter's recorded voice doesn't get me any contacts.
Cheater.
I can't make contacts on any band. FT8 is the saving grace to get me over to 10. So I always keep that with me. But cool, dude. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more stuff like that. I know we've got some plans, obviously, coming in May. So if you're, in the New England area and you want to hang out with us, we will post more about that. We might be doing some fun stuff with Nearfest and whatnot. So we're going to work those details out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. This is where warmer weather's finally coming. Although today felt like it was like the dead cold of winter.
It was snowing all day.
Yep.
April 8th. It's snow.
And I was literally outside 3/4 of the day today. It sucked.
Ugh.
And then the sun broke through and it started to get windy as hell.
Yeah, and it's been windy all day, so it sucks.
Yeah.
So you didn't do any ham radio at all, Todd? At all during the week?
I mean, I talked to a few people on the repeater on the way to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the reasons it was crappy out and rainy out, and then I kind of got into, I had to do my other hobby, which was out of my 3 hobbies, my bonsai trees, and I needed to, before they're just, some of them are starting to bud, so you have to trim them before that. So and it takes a lot longer than I thought it would, because I guess I think I have a lot of trees, and then some of them were dead. Some of I did a lot of. I have a lot of clippings and stuff that I was trying to root and grow, and so cleaning that stuff up and getting it all ready, and then I started doing the inside ones, and next thing you know, it was like a whole weekend project. But I'm all caught up now. Cool. And then I just didn't do I didn't get on, and I should have, but I just was one of those days. It was just one of those weekends, and work's been kind of busy. I've had some tough things going on with my cases, so I've been kind of more busy. And then I wanted to bring, I've got my gear sitting in my car, but the weather's been so shitty. It's like,
shouldn't stop you from activating. 107.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I mean, there's nothing.
110 total.
I sit in my Jeep and
do it. It's what I have a radio for in my truck.
Yeah, I know. More cheating.
Oh my god, that's not cheating.
Listen, Todd, there's nothing wrong with a little Miyagi time, right? Because it takes some patience, right? You gotta little Miyagi time. But Mr. Flexing on the flex all the time, like you're always bragging about how you can flex from your iPad, and you can flex from anywhere, and you can flex. Oh, look at me and my flex.
Can't do it.
Come on.
Right. Do you not have internet anywhere? You in those very remote places where you can't do internet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I could. And plus I've been studying for my extra. I'm really trying to, now that my buddy is taken in, is probably going to pass this weekend, I'm going to feel even more like a loser.
Silence. I didn't say anything. I told you I would, but I'm not.
He said something like if I take it and fail, he was going to change his call sign to like W1TOD. I was like awesome. I was almost thinking like, I should just go there and fail, and that'd be pretty funny. But I wouldn't be able to do it anyway because, well, I might be able to do it if there. But yeah, it's our opening day. So there's a parade in the morning. I got our first game at 1, and I've only had one practice. I was going to practice today, but the fields are still closed. I guess it's like a swamp out there, and I don't give a crap what they say. I'm practicing tomorrow, whether the fields are open or not, because they're not going to be around to see if I'm practicing or not, and I'm having it. It's going to be sunny. And
hopefully. It won't be as bitter cold as it was today.
Let me tell you, the exam session starts at 9 a.m. at Bedford PD, and I guarantee you will be done and out of there by 10:30.
Well, that's great, but I have a parade in Hollis that I have to walk in with my team at 9, and I have to be there at 8. So it really doesn't work. And I'm not ready for it anyway. I haven't passed the test on the practice test. I mean, like, I haven't passed one. Tim's gotten, I don't know, he said he did like 5 or 6 times or whatever. So.
All right. Well, listen, start taking some practice tests, I guess, like get yourself ready. And when you are ready, right. Because I'm the team lead. I think Eric's gonna get his VE credentials. We've definitely got enough VEs that can do it, but we can do an impromptu remote session just for you, and we'll play the quiz music for you. We'll play the quiz music through the whole session. We can do that for you, Todd. We can do that for you. All right. An impromptu remote session. We can do that.
Yeah. All right.
And, we can make this a pay-per-view type thing.
No.
Pay in to watch tests.
Listen, you guys are putting too much pressure on me. I don't want to be the loser that takes it and fails.
Members only.
Yeah.
I know, right? Exactly. You heard it here. Let's see how we can cash in on Todd's failures. That's awesome.
What I might just do is I might just go do it without you clowns, and then on the bottom where it says still a general, be like now an extra, and see if you clowns even notice.
Well, just because you changed the title down at the bottom, we have to see if I submitted was it 605 or whatever it is.
I'll have my in the background. I'll just have my license or the
full official update.
Yeah.
With the letter /AG.
No, I mean,
AE.
I'm starting to, it's crazy because, I've been doing it so long now. It's like I'm starting to understand some of them. And then the questions that I'm not exactly sure, I can logically work through it and take an educated guess instead of just like randomly picking letters. Like the first time I just did the test and I was like, I'll see how good I do with just guessing, and yeah, it wasn't pretty. I restarted the whole thing. I didn't want that in my stats and my study. I'm like, yeah, that's not right.
Hey, that's all right. You don't have to pass just to pass. You don't have to pass with flying colors.
I know.
Yeah. All you need is 37 right.
Yep.
37 out of 50.
Enough. Yep. All the way I looked at it. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get into the business part of the. Now that everyone's left the podcast, because I've already done my practice test and I got 3 out of 3. It's just the 3 of us now because no one else is listening. They've all shut down, and we can talk business.
Okay. Well, good. We're going to be talking business, sort of, I guess, tonight. So, like we've been doing for the past couple episodes, if you've been tuning in already or you're a consistent listener, we've been doing a discussion around ham radio clubs. And, as we're starting to see, maybe the stuff we're talking about is seeming to stick in people with, we've seen, folks like the Ham Radio Hillbilly Club, Hillbilly Ham Radio Club. My gosh, I can't believe I screwed that one up. I'm an honorary member and I can't even get our club right. But they've obviously felt inspired. They built a website shortly after we've had an episode with them. And dude, I went up to their website, and a lot of the stuff that we talked about is there. Like, dude, they nailed it. Like, it was like if we put them up to a head-to-head, toe-to-toe to all of our other websites, they'd be taking 5 out of 5 stars. Like, you would guarantee that they would take 5 out of 5. So, it's good to see that stuff like that is sticking, and hopefully maybe other people are taking that same advice and running with it. We've had some really cool discussions, on the Discord there. So, if you haven't been part of that, head on over there and, talk a little bit more clubs. But, so we obviously took the last kind of, we'll say this is our last episode kind of in the club series, although, we never knows what happens after this if we inspired to do more. But we figured, one thing, I mean, we led to a discussion alluded to, I should say, discussion about Robert's Rules of Order, and kind of joked about that last episode. But, we're going to talk a little bit about business. I mean, if you've been to a ham radio club, and some of us have, and, all of us here, at least on this show, are participated actively in one or been a part of clubs like ham radio clubs that, use things like Robert's Rules of Order and have official business meetings and stuff like that. And if you're like me, I've been in the system for a while when it comes to ham radio clubs. And one of the things I always struggle with, especially when I started in ham radio clubs in my local town as a teenager way back when, was like, they did business and it was business. And then they went straight to a guest speaker, and then they had coffee after. And then that was the event of the meeting. And every time I went to the meeting, I felt like they, when they did business, it was never really business with the action kind of side of things. And I always felt like, why do we always table stuff? Like, why is that the normal MO for most clubs, to have a discussion, have original business, have, old business discussed, and or just that business portion. And so I wanted to, have that discussion because I know Paul's got a great, he's a great resource in that area because he's dealt with it a lot, and he knows obviously the kind of the ins and outs of why it's there and what its purpose is and what he can bring to the table. And Todd and I kind of have, different walks of life and flavor of it. And so coupled with that and all the stuff I've seen on the internet with, Hayden from, Ham Radio DX and stuff like that saying, clubs are just wasting time and wasting their resources doing all of the business official stuff instead of trying to draw new members in and bring in, more people into the fold and letting them kind of get in and experience ham radio. So kind of want to talk about that. I think when you say business, it stirs up or conjures up different feelings for different people. And for me, it's a negative kind of conjure. It's like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, it's not helping from a traditional club place. So let's kind of frame it out here. And so let's talk just like we have a monthly club meeting. You might have a monthly club meeting in your club, and you may follow the same format a little bit. I know with our club, we have this same format, and it's pretty much the same format that I remember when I was a teenager. You come in, you'd have the Pledge of Allegiance, and you'd have the business portion of it, new, old, and any new business that people want to bring to the table that might not have been listed under new business. And then you may vote on stuff if, things need to be brought to the table. And then shortly after that, you break for coffee, and then you roll into your guest speaker, and then the night's over. And, biggest complaint, at least for me and for where I'm standing, is like, I didn't get a chance to interact with people. I got a chance to raise my hand or vote or, become the second person to, nominate a motion, but I didn't really participate. And so I'm bringing it to these guys. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to see what they think about, what the whole business portion is and how and what it means to them. And we'll kind of go from there. So, I'll get thrown over to you, Paul, because I know you got a good focus and a good understanding of that whole process. And, you can definitely kind of explain your point and why the backstory of that stuff. And then we'll go kind of from there.
All right. So I was going to ask you, did you want to hear why business meetings are so important, or did you want to you and Todd give why you hate business meetings, and then I'll tell you why it's important?
I think you should set the foundation first to the purpose of why clubs do it and why, and just in general, organizations do it from a business perspective, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll give you our crappy opinions.
All right. So first of all, from a business standpoint, most of the amateur radio clubs are registered as 501c3 nonprofits.
Yep.
And while your requirements for tax filings are relatively non-existent until you're making in excess of $50,000 a year, you still are accountable, and you have to be accountable for all of the money coming in and out, and all of the things that the club is doing, and the executive officers of the club do not get to make all of the decisions. Okay, they get to make certain decisions. There are some things that are written into the bylaws that would be board only applicable kind of decisions, but typically anything involving spending money, it has to go to the membership for a vote. And the importance of this, and this is I'm gonna stress this, because if you are not participating and paying attention to your club's business meetings, right? Like Todd cutting his fingernails, like if you're not paying attention, okay, then you're not being an active participant, and you're not voicing your concerns or lack of concerns for how your club is spending money.
Okay.
All right. And so
money.
Well, hear me out though. Okay. So before we get to not spending money, because yes, there are those people that they love to hold the purse strings tight. There are also people on the other side of the coin that just love to spend the money. And if there's no accountability, then they can be like, well, I need this. 7,300 for the club, but I'm going to keep it at my house and I'm going to use it all the time. And they basically treat it as their own radio, and then it never gets actually put on club books because it didn't go through a club meeting, and so it's not in the club minutes. And right, and so you get into these things where people either inadvertently or intentionally will pocket club money or benefit from club funds. And so it happens all the time. And I'll tell you, like, coming from the VFW side of things, okay, the VFW it's also a nonprofit. Nonprofits all function in the same capacity. It's it's just a different classification. It's a 501c19, being a military veteran organization, as opposed to a 501c3, which is a general nonprofit. And I realize I'm kind of probably getting into the boring shit right now, but stick with me, because if you're not paying attention, there are people that will take advantage and they will personally benefit. And so club meetings that's the time for open transparency. That's the time for everybody to voice their concerns about the finances and the direction of the club. And that is why you follow Robert's rules, and everybody follows the same meeting format, because it provides structure and rigidity so that you don't get people speaking out of turn. You don't get people talking over people and a big argument and chaos. And there has to be order and structure to it. And so you follow Robert's rules, and you cover your old unfinished business first, then you go into your new business, and then typically you'll have a segment at the very end. It would be the good of the order, or the good of the club, and so that's the part of the meeting where you're not voting on anything unless something got overlooked, but you're typically not voting on things, but rather you're presenting ideas to be looked up and looked into of the direction that the club is heading in. What do we want to do? What is our mission? What is it that we should be organizing ourselves so that we're staying in line with what our club mission is and what we want to do, so that we can further grow the club? Now, that boring stuff, Ed, gone.
Sorry, I don't have a sound file for that. Anyway, no, just kidding. Okay. All right. So in theory, I kind of understand knowing those rules and the purpose of them and why they're created, because everything, needs some structure, especially when you're dealing with money and issues around money. Where do we think, I mean, obviously in the process, maybe, and this is part of the struggle that I have, is like, I feel that in life, especially when you have a club, a lot of times the locations or places that you do meet, you're limited to that, time frame, of whatever hours or set, availability to be able to do those things. A lot of times and a lot of feedback come from folks that the business portion, although important and useful, can always take away from the, per se, the core of the purpose of the club in meeting and building connection and, learning something or engaging with others or, introducing yourself to new people. It doesn't foster, or it takes away from possibly the fostering of, those relationships to grow the club, that, all of those healthy things you need to be able to have a good working club.
Well, sure. If you're having a business meeting followed by a lecture, then there's no time for socialization. But if your sole focus for the evening is the business meeting, then you have socialization before the meeting, you have the meeting, and then you have socialization after the meeting, right? Like,
right.
And then you get both things accomplished in one night.
So do you find, the funny thing is I find, like, in doesn't particularly focus on, say, our club, but I find in general other clubs, the common feedback that I've always heard from the executive team or the folks that are leadership have always said, well, we're not going to, we want to be transparent, and that's always in the kind of the foreground. And so in that transparency message, they use the business portion as kind of this, we'll say, weapon to beat the membership into submission, to stop asking for, having the business portion of the meeting, because, we're bringing every little detail or issue or thing that needs to be membership voted upon or discussed. And I kind of, from my vantage point, I feel like that takes away more so, but from the meeting purpose, because I think you can get through a business portion of a meeting pretty quickly in most cases. If, most people have, been educated prior to the meeting, a lot of times board meetings will, or even just club meetings will be like, oh, I just got the minutes 10 minutes ago, and you want me to like voice my opinion on, subject matter and then vote. Which in essence, I think from my experience is always been on its ear and been always tabled. And I think that's a frustration point too. But what I was kind of thinking is like, in today's space, I mean, obviously you have components, and you had mentioned the speaker, being, obviously a point that takes away from, say the opportunity to foster relationships and grow, the social aspect. What would you propose? Like, would you propose, or do you have concern? Not concern. Did you have any ideas of like how to change that format around so you become more focused on, the social aspect of it? Like, what if you, let's back up. What would you look at as a large, like if you could run your club the way you wanted it, what would that look like? Maybe that.
So, all right. So if it was my club, all right, and I was the president of the club, I would run the meetings just like I have run many VFW meetings. I was a post commander for 3 years. I was district commander for 2. Having somebody at the helm who is good at running a meeting, who is good at taking charge and putting people in their place, that's an important part of it, right? Because meetings can get away very, very easily if you do not have a good leader in charge. So one, you got to have a good leader. So if it was my club, the meeting would be kind of a brass tacks, no nonsense. All right, let's move through the things. We're going to read the minutes, because not everybody gets the minutes in email, right? Even if you send it out a week ahead of time, not everybody is going to get it and read it. So you read the minutes in the meeting and you go, this is what we did last time, which gives everybody a reminder of anything that was tabled. Okay, because anything that was tabled means that it had to be further researched and it was going to be brought up for a vote at the next meeting. So that's going to come up under unfinished business. So you go through that, you do your treasurer's report, you do your minutes, and then you touch on the unfinished. All right, this is what we didn't address last time. Let's address it. Has everybody had time to consider the options? This is what we're going to do, one way or the other. Here, put it to a vote. Then it's settled. It's done. Move on. You know, anything new business that's going to involve a lengthy discussion, something that's going to be a hot topic, it's probably going to end up getting tabled for the sake of time. Because people are going to want to go home. They're going to want to research other options, then come to the next meeting with those options. But you got to make sure that you're remembering that whatever was tabled, it needs to be brought back up.
Agreed.
You know, and then yeah, just go through the business portion and do the business, and then socialize. Don't have a lecture after. Socialize. Because you've got everybody there, everybody's there, and now the meeting is fresh in your mind. Well, let's talk about the future of the club amongst ourselves outside of the meeting. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would be so much more productive than having to rush through the meeting agenda just because you don't want the lecture guy to have to wait. And then everybody's going to sit through the fucking lecture and the PowerPoint fucking death scroll. Like, God, please just shoot me in the head. Like, it's just so awful. Have the meeting, focus on the meeting, then focus on each other.
Okay. Todd, how would you run your ideal meeting?
Well, first, one thing I want to say is I don't think we've ever read in our club the minutes from the previous meeting.
No, we do.
Month.
Yeah,
no,
Tim reads them.
No, they go.
Oh no, you're right.
The minutes were posted or whatever. Who agree? I. Like I look at our handwriting club. I think if you polled everyone, no one really cares because they care about a big issue, but the generalized budget, day-to-day stuff. It's like they're either there for the socialization or they're there for the lecture. I don't think they're there for the business meeting unless there was something like we're going to change something that might be controversial or we're looking to make a big shift in the club. I mean, that's the way I see it. I don't know. Do you have to have? I mean, I don't know what our bylaws are. But do you have to have a business meeting every month? Can you do it every quarter? And have
our bylaws don't have it written. Paul's nodding his head. You should have every month, but it's not clearly defined in if we're using our club as an example in our templated bylaws, it's not stated that way. Like there's a membership component. There's a note-taking component about our capturing all of the stuff, but there's not a review or that we're required to go through that detail.
And I think I think the most, at least for me, it's more of like, where are we at financially? Where's all the money? Because the money leads to the activities the club's going to do and what we could possibly do with it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I thought about maybe you have a business meeting, a different time than when you do the socialize. So maybe you do a business meeting and you do it on Zoom or something, and you go through everything, you read everything, and then the people that want to be there. And then you have the club meeting where, you have the lecturer, you have the coffee, the hanging out, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, we do it all in once, but I mean, I think we went through one of our meetings. We did the business meeting. I think it was 7 minutes. Like the whole thing was 7 minutes because we had a speaker. And I mean, I thought, okay, cool, we're going to go right to the speaker. But if people are interested or caring about it, you kind of it is important. I agree with Paul. It is important to make sure everything's in there. But on the other hand, I don't know how many people want to be there for the business meeting. I could be wrong, but I wonder if you said, okay, from now on, the Friday before the club meeting, we're going to do the business meeting on Zoom. I honestly wanted to see how many people show up for it.
A separate kind of.
Yeah, like, so let's say the first Friday of the month is the business meeting, and then the second Friday of the month is the club meeting where we have a speaker or an activity or whatever and socialization. I wonder what percentage of the club shows up for the business meeting only. Even if they didn't have to go anywhere, they just got to get on Zoom. And I guess that would be maybe a good experiment to do to see how important people think it is. But I mean, I agree with Paul. There has to be accountability because people will steal and take things, and you got to keep everyone in check. You know, some guy could be like, oh, well, they'll never notice this because it's only $100 here. And, you know, next thing you know, the club's
ham radios don't keep their value. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's something that, you know, I find the business part of the meeting, unless it's something that we've been discussing and we're trying to make a big change, I just find them just repetitive. It's like the same thing. We get the budget. Oh, there's how much money we have. We approve last month's budget, and I don't think anyone, or last month's thing, and I don't think anyone's read it, to be honest with you, except for what they remember from the last time. And so I do like that point that we should read it, you know, because that might stir something up or bring a question. So I agree with Paul on that. I just don't know how many people are so into it that they want to be there for that.
Now, you did allude to like having a separate business meeting. Like, Paul, what's your take on that? Like, do you feel like that would not to say honor, but would be, you know, best way to kind of describe honoring the component of, you know, following due process with the business minutes and that whole process, to be able to also create space for those to ask questions and be able to do that without feeling like there's a time limit? Like, do you think that's an alternative to maybe not having to do that in a formal meeting per se, or do you very, you know, clear on because I know you've done it, you know, in several different ways.
Yeah, well, so all right, so like I'll keep referring back to the VFW because that's what I know the best.
Totally.
But when I would run a meeting, or when I would coach another commander on how to run a meeting, it's all about efficiency, right? And the better that you are familiar with Robert rules and the format of the meeting, the more efficiently you can run through the meeting. And so there were many times where we would conduct all business and all formalities, everything, start to finish in 20 to 30 minutes. Then there are other meetings where, you know, you've got elections, or, you know, you've got some, you know, big purchase going on, or you've got some big plan, and it involves a bunch of discussion. Well, discussion will prolong the meeting length. And so you got to take that into account. And that's where I truly think that ham radio clubs are doing a disservice to their members by trying to cram so much shit into one night. And if you pick a Friday night at 7:30, like, you're wrong, because you're not going to get anybody that's under, 65 that's going to be like, oh, I have nothing better to do on a Friday night at 7:00 than to go to a ham radio club.
I know, apparently we were all losers.
I'm a loser because I'm there.
I'm so he's the VE guy now, and he has to report in. So,
I make like what, 4 club meetings a year, maybe. Like, it's just Friday night is date night. Like, I would much rather be out with my wife enjoying a good night, than sitting in a fucking club meeting.
You can't.
Yeah, okay.
I always laugh at that.
But make it a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Make it a Saturday morning. Make it a Sunday. Whatever. Like, just come on. Just think about, like, if you're trying to bring younger people into your club, then you need to schedule things that are going to be conducive to bringing younger people into in-person meetings. And whether that's your business meeting, or whether that's a lecture, or whether that's a POTA meetup, or any a workbench build, you know what I mean? Like, just freaking be smart and schedule it so that it's conducive for more people to be able to be there.
So to kind of boil that down is knowing your membership, knowing where they're at, where they, their lives, their styles, their age groups, all of that stuff is important, obviously, and making those better decisions as to whether or not the night you operate as your club is a good night for most people there. Now, I would throw in the caveat. I know from what I've seen in our club, our numbers seem to weigh better on Friday nights, and the minority seem to be the ones that obviously have date night on Friday night or whatever, and those that don't, and that's totally fine. I mean, in essence, you can't do everything for everybody, as we all know, because
can't please everyone.
Done. Exactly. You get nothing done. So, definitely, and actually that's probably a good point. So I guess first thing,
what about rotating nights? Start off on a Sunday. The next month go to Monday.
Our live streams. What are you talking about?
The next month go to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then everyone's happy.
To our live streams, right? Exactly. If it's a random targeted day, no.
I agree. Like, Fridays is not. It's a terrible night for a meeting. I mean, if you're retired and you're not have nothing to do and the days of the week don't matter because they're all the same, then it doesn't really matter. But for working people, I mean, I'll be honest with you, for me, like, Friday's the start of my weekend. Like, the last thing, it's like, oh, I got to go to the club meeting. It's like that. Oh, I got to go to the club meeting. It's not like, yeah, it's a club meeting tonight. I got something to do tonight. I mean,
I'm not raising a fist to the sky going yes, but for me, a Friday, is kind of 50-50. I don't always do date nights, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, my job is not physically demanding, but mentally maybe, or draining, I would say.
Okay.
So by the time Friday comes around, like, I'm just a mush. Like, I don't want to do anything, let alone listen to ham radio club finances and new votes and all. Like, I'm just kind of like, whatever. But like, my flying club, like, they meet on a Wednesday, but we're kind of in the same boat. Like, not a lot of people show up for that either. We have a show and tell in April where everyone shows up, because that's a big club, meeting where everyone shows up and see what they built over the winter. So that always draws a lot, but and basically our other club meetings are just business, and good
question. Actually, you have a flying club. So what's that format look like for you? How does that differ between, like, say, our club example, using that to compare?
So we have like meetings once a month on a Wednesday night. April is the designated show and tell, where people who have been building stuff over the winter, they bring it in and we vote on them and check them out, and they give a presentation. It's a longer meeting. They do the business part real quick. They kind of get it out of the way, and then they have a budget meeting where they discuss and present the budget. Then the next one they do that.
Is that separate to that? It's a separate meeting altogether?
Well, it's part of the club meeting. So, like, let's say, like, they're going to do the budget. So typically they present the budget, let's say in March, or say in February, and then in March they vote on it. So it's presented, people can ask questions, send emails, and then it's the next month they do it. Then it's the show and tell. And then we do meetings at the field in the summer. So we do that. Then we switch it from Wednesdays to a Sunday, and we do it at noon. Huh?
That's a lot of days to switch around, and
well, only because Sundays is the club day of flying. Okay. Like, that's where the whole club gets together at the field and flies. So it's nice out. We got a little pavilion. It's like, why not go and do it outside? And
so on those days, like you're doing stuff, you're not doing business discussions though. Like when you're doing activities like show and float and fly, that type of stuff. Those are meetings, but you're not doing business like stuff at those.
All the meetings, every meeting they do business, even at the show and tell, but it's very brief. Like it's like real quick.
Oh, you still
the other ones are longer. That they propose a budget. We have elections, so they nominate people, and then the next month, they vote on who the leadership's going to be. Christmas they do a what do you call it, Yankee swap. So they do a quick business meeting, and then everyone is swapping gifts, and they buy food and cater and do that kind of stuff. So there's some special meetings, and then sometimes, rarely, we'll get like someone to come in and do like a presentation or something. One of the guys years ago wanted to do a solar charging station, and he presented this huge thing. And I mean, it took a lot of time and work, and it was good, and it got voted down. But now we have a charging station, because the reason it got voted down is like when he was proposing it, everything was so expensive. So now that all the solar stuff has gotten cheaper, it was more feasible for the club to do, and it's awesome. And he had the idea to do it, but that was a whole meeting of his presentation trying to convince the club why we need this. And then you have a month to think about it, talk, ask questions, and then you vote. So I mean, our meetings, we it seems like we go through the business part really quick, and then we do like the presenter, which is cool, which I like the presenters. Some of them I'm more into than others. And and we have that break in between, and then there's beginning, people mingle, and then after people mingle, and socialize. So I mean, it's hard to say. I would rather have the social aspect and have the business meeting like every quarter. I don't know how necessary for a club like ours, which isn't doing a lot of business type things. I mean, we have more side meetings that I think are more important, like when we do field day, like field day prep and that kind of stuff, right? We have the little side group meetings to do it. We talk about field day. You might bring it up in the new business or old business or whatever.
We never do a business meeting on a field day meeting whatsoever. It's just like, field day stuff.
Well, yeah, because those would be committees, and your committees, whatever.
I mean, like our club. I mean, honestly, what have we done? What has changed except membership? What has changed, and what have we done in the last 3 months? Have we spent any money? I don't think so. Have we? I mean, we changed. What did we change?
We don't have to get into the details, but there's stuff that has happened.
Yeah, I mean, but we made a vote and we changed something about the quorum or whatever, which makes sense or whatever. Fine, but there really wasn't it's not like we've got an ongoing business thing that we have to continue to talk about. It's like it's same old. Like it's going to be the same meeting this month as it is going to be next month, and maybe the numbers change a little bit. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not against having these business. I just don't know if they need to be on our club in our situation. Do they need to be every month, or do you do them separately? And I'd just be curious to see how many people would actually come. Well, even if it was on Zoom.
I can sort of answer that question a little bit, just anecdotally, which would be that we probably would not see the level of physical involvement of people on a separate Zoom meeting to attend another meeting, because we all know, no matter what age group you're in, that your life and time and availability is, precious. So you try to use it as best as a possible resource to doing certain things and not doing other things. So if we had a separate business portion meeting, we probably would not have the numbers that we would need to have, any just formal discussion or due process or any of that, because people just don't want to, and as Paul alluded to, and you touched on, Todd, that they don't want to, unless it pains their wallets, hurts them in some, personal way, or, concerns them in some personal way, or they have a very strong opinion of it, it's not going to be discussed. So I would say that you probably wouldn't see the level of involvement as a separate meeting. Now, I take on that. I would love to have a separate meeting.
But what does that say about the value of to the club members of the business meeting? Because I hear what Paul's saying, and I'm not against not having business meetings, but I think the bigger problem is the importance of the business meeting and getting people to understand the importance and take it seriously, because we don't take it serious. I don't think our club takes it that seriously. I know in the flying club,
trust me.
But I think in our flying club, like, we spend and make huge purchases. Like we spent 10 grand to knock down trees. Like, that's a huge expense, right? Like, we spent $16,000 to buy a lawnmower, right? like well, this stuff isn't like, oh, we're gonna buy the lawnmower. Who's up? I mean, it's like months of discussion and research and people being assigned tasks and come back and report. And I mean, it's not like just like a snap of the fingers, there goes our whole savings. And I think with our club, like, we don't do that kind of level of stuff. And I don't think people take the business part too seriously. I don't think they take, like, we vote members in. Like, I don't even understand why we do that, because half the time. Is that a normal
Robert's Rules thing, Paul, speaking of?
Yes.
Okay,
to vote members into the club.
Yeah, yep. It's not really written into our membership.
Because I know, like, gun clubs and stuff do that. Like, you have to show your dedication. Go and meet someone, get sponsored, whatever. And I mean, every club's different, but like, half the time we vote members in, they're not even there. No one's even met them before, and they all get voted in. Yeah. But then if someone has a problem with the member, they're going to be like, wow. I mean, you know what I mean? So
to this date,
yeah,
I have. Go ahead.
So the point of the process isn't to meet the person, because the person might not be there. The point of the process is that you're vetting through the membership the new people coming in. And so you go, okay, here's who we have applying for membership to our club. This is their qualifications that meet our membership requirements. And is everybody inapprovable? If somebody personally knows somebody and they're like, oh no, that person is a shitbag, and they're shady and they're a thief and they're, a pathological liar, well, that's your time to stand up and go, no, I object to that person joining this club. And so the person being there is irregardless. It's presenting
but no one even knows who they are. I mean, we go through it and we just say, oh, Charles Manson signed up. Call Sinat. He just got his technician license. I mean, it's not like there's any kind of like biography. I mean, it's very basic. And
your membership coordinator isn't vetting the prospective members well enough.
Do you understand the criteria that I have to vet them against? Do they breathe? Do they have money? Are they licensed or not? And that's the criteria. The option is like, if they're not licensed, okay, fine. They aren't a voting member. If they are licensed, well, they're a voting member. Simple as that. That's the extent of it, Paul. Like, they got a heartbeat. Okay, check boxed.
Have you been to the barn? Have you been to Prest?
No, we can't even go that route. Yeah, forget that.
No, I mean, like I said, I don't think our club members take the business part seriously at all. And I think if you polled them, they would say, well, I could care less what happens. Unless it's a big topic. Like, if we're going to spend money, there's going to be, like, if I say, hey, we want to buy a new repeater and a tower, and they say,
dare you?
No. then it becomes important.
Let's move on.
Right. I mean,
well, so it actually kind of brings up an interesting topic. It's like, so yeah, it's almost comical, and this is kind of why I brought this up. And I know it's like one of those things we could go forever, but like it's almost like mundane, because we just do it, because a lot of times it feels like it's just due process and it's part of the club structure. But when 90% of the conversation is like, yeah, okay, same stuff, blah, 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 let's just get it over with and done. You kind of question, at least I do, what does it bring value, and what can the value bring? And obviously Paul's description, it brings a lot of value if you're following it and there's activity to support it. But if you don't, then you're just now following just a rule to follow the rule, right?
Well, I mean, we spend more time at the meeting trying to find out what call sign is seconding the motion on the table, or who motioned it, and giving everyone a equal share
motion, right?
I mean, I just think that I'm kind of split between the two. If this was a debate, I could debate it either way, and I think I would be a good debater. I could argue they're not necessary every month. They're no one wants to go there. They're boring. We don't do anything. It's just we're just waiting to go through the process, get it done as quickly as possible. And I could argue that. I could also argue what Paul says and say they are important because it does hold accountability. It does show. It's supposed to show the direction of the club. And my thing is when I've seen in other clubs like the Flying Club, like when someone is passionate about something and brings it up, and there's someone that's not on board with whatever that topic is, that's when they become really important. Because
so would it bring the day-to-day idea? Okay.
No, I'm just saying, look at last month's meeting and this month's meeting. If we didn't have those two meetings, nothing's changed except membership.
So let me ask a question. So let's take a step back on this. So what do you guys view the meeting as? Is it a place for a prospective new member, or ham radio operator to come in and experience what the club may offer? Or is it more not that? Is it more, is that like I view, obviously, the whole rules, Robert's rules, the structure, the business, very important. But I don't feel like that's important for a new member to the club or a ham radio person just getting in the hobby to really have any deep interest in, because they're not deep enough into the club to understand the day-to-day or whatever activities form the backbone of the club.
I mean, look at this. What are club meetings? What's the purpose of a meeting? Is it to is it to recruit new members? Is it to learn? Is it to hang out? What is the whole purpose? We did the Meshtastic meeting, and that was huge. I mean, there were people coming over. We got members out of it. People joined up. People were talking about it on the repeaters. It was like it was a great meeting because it was interactive, and people were
business.
Yeah, we did the business. But no one was
the business. Yep.
What? But I guarantee you, ask anyone there what was said in the business meeting, they're not going to remember.
I would remember, right?
But they're going to remember the Meshtastic stuff because that's what they were interested in. We get a cool presenter on something that you're interested in. You go there and it's like, oh, that was a great, what do you call it? Presentation. I learned something that was really interesting. I love that. Again, are they going to remember the business meeting? What was said? Of course not, because we rushed through it so fast. I don't even know what they're saying. I tried to take notes, and I was like, whoa, slow down, because it was just going so fast. I mean, I listened to the money, and I listened to the membership. Those are the two things to me are like, okay, we still have money in the bank. Cool. Oh, we got 5 new members. Awesome. Are they here? Darn it. I would like to introduce myself to them. But sure. I mean, to me, that's the best part of the business meeting.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Todd. Being a membership coordinator. But anyway, so okay,
I said the membership. I like that.
God, Paul, you got something on your mind.
All right. So in my mind, the club meeting is for business.
Okay.
Okay. And so if it was my club, all right, I would have a monthly club meeting, and it would be, at some point that was convenient for the majority of my members. And that meeting is for conducting business and then socializing afterwards. Now, if I want to have a lecture, if I want to have, a 4-H event or a POTA meetup or any of the other cool things that a ham radio club should be doing, that is not going to take place in conjunction with a meeting. That is going to be a separate event where I'm going to have my membership coordinator doing recruiting. I'm going to have, somebody there that's, got pamphlets and information about the club, somebody that's going to give a talk on something that is important to people, to bring in people that may or may not be members of the club. And so you grow in that way outside of your business meeting. And then when your business meeting rolls around, you go, hey, listen, we had this event last month. It took place in between meetings, but it was after the last meeting. It was a great success. This is what we did, X, Y, and Z. And now we have X number of new members to vote on that wanted to join after attending our event. And so if the new members want to attend the business portion of the business meeting, then they attend the business meeting, and then they socialize afterwards, where you've got knowledgeable, experienced members of the club hanging out and welcoming, hey, all right, yeah, great. What do you got for an HT? What do you got for this? What do you got for that? What do you need help with? And you have those conversations where, maybe you're exchanging contact info and you're developing those personal relationships post-meeting. But you got to have events that are specific to growing the club and furthering your knowledge and doing builds and whatever. Don't try and lump it all into one thing, because you're ruining the fucking business of the meeting by doing that. And most people, I would think most people are more in line with me in the fact that, like, I don't want to sit through a rushed business meeting to get to a fucking boring PowerPoint. I don't give a flying fuck about it. Now, if you're going to do something where we're going to do a meeting and then, I don't know, we're going to build something that doesn't require soldering. Awesome. Let's fucking do it. Let's have some fun hanging out after the meeting, and let's just do something together. But to just sit there for a boring PowerPoint or a lecture and a PowerPoint, like, come on, this isn't 1998 anymore. Like, this is 2025. Let me say that again. This is 2025. Like, enough with the PowerPoint lectures.
Well, I just go there for the free coffee. That's really the only reason I go.
I just go for the food.
Dude, I you know what? Not this meeting, because this meeting is this Friday at what, 7:30. Like, I will not be there. I have other things to do. But yeah, so maybe next meeting, I will bring a thermos of coffee for you, so you can have free coffee.
No, the club provides us coffee.
Next meeting, I'm doing my POTA presentation, so you better bring no coffee and damn well watch that presentation, because I'm gonna make sure it's a fucking interactive one.
Actually, you know what? Next meeting will be May. I will be out of state, so maybe I'll attend remotely.
You can zoom in. Thank you. Appreciate the support there, Mr. OG.
Now, I will say, I think I'd never been to our club. The Flying Club doesn't do Zoom, makes it available online, and I think that our club, I think that's awesome, because there have been times where, for whatever reason, I wasn't able to make it, and it was nice to be online to do it. So I think that's cool. It gives everyone an opportunity, whether they can make it or not. If you're sick or whatever, you don't want to get people, you can still see the business part of the meeting and hear what you have to do. And so, I mean, Paul, I I agree with you 100%. I think that there's just, I don't think people value the business part of the meeting as much as maybe they should, because you're right. It is important. And, sometimes the not the fun stuff is important to keep the club running. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you do to how you change it. I do agree with you that Fridays suck as a night, and maybe I'll make a motion to change the meeting club nights. That'll stir up a whirlwind.
Oh, make it Thursday.
Well,
make it Saturday morning.
Club. I don't think we have to talk our club. I was just trying to broaden the base a bit, but
I'm sure, and every club has their own thing. But I bet you, if you look at all the hobbyist clubs in the state, I guarantee you, we're probably one of the only ones that do Friday night club.
No,
really?
You'd be surprised. Yeah. So here's another, like Mike, and I can't remember if Mike said he has it on a Wednesday or Thursday. He goes to his club once a month, and it's always like on a Wednesday or Thursday. And every time I've talked to him, he's like, I really wish it was some other day that week, because I am just so busy at that point of my schedule. Like, I sometimes can't even go to my own club meeting, and I'm presenting, that week, that month or whatever. And so, it's just different for everybody in different walks of life and depending on where you're at. And so, yeah, there's never going to be a perfect night, which I don't think, no matter whether, using our club or any club for that matter, if you try to find a better night, I'm all about for the, if our club, we'll use our club since we've been talking about it. If we had a physical place that we called our own, that we weren't renting or borrowing or waiting around, for,
like a club shack on top of a mountain with an antenna and a repeater and a tower.
Todd's dream. Yes.
Yeah.
So if that was some place that we could
I'd be there 5 days, 7 days a week.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You have a flex, and how many times you're on your flex?
I'm on it.
Okay,
but
well,
again,
we're on it the past week.
Part of the club, and part of being in the club is also hanging out with people, right?
Agreed.
So we have options in our club where you can choose to hang out with people at certain times to do it. If we had a club shack or whatever, clubhouse, whatever you want to call it, physical place you can go and hang out whenever you want, I think that would be huge for a club. I've always said, I said if we owned a flying field, if I ever hit the lottery, I'm building, the tower, the control tower, where it's going to have hangars for all the planes to be stored, so we don't have to drag our shit back and forth, right? I'm going to have a meeting room. I'm going to have a hangout room, TV. We can watch, whatever. Place for
fridge
people
full of beer.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Taps coming, right? I mean, it's just one of those, things that would be good. But I mean, that stuff is wicked expensive. I mean, you either have to have like an endowment or something, or, you have to have a huge club with financial. Our club will never have that unless someone donates it. But you're right. If we did have a place, I think it would be more, you would get more. Now, granted, where we go to the school library, and it's a nice place. It's much better than the church we were going to.
I agree. But so back to the point of
nothing against churches.
It's just hard to work in a church environment, especially in your basement. But I think from a standpoint of whatever your scenario is, if you are stuck to that, you have a 4-hour block of time that you're granted to your club session, you should treat that like gold. And because if you're using it as a way to get membership or new people to come in that might want to be members, that is, I think, the first place, at least from a traditional ham. And so let me kind of tell you my story. I think when I started getting into clubs and started, being more involved, especially when I was in Massachusetts, I had to go to those clubs to be able to experience what was going on. And 2 of the clubs, had facilities that they were their own. And so you could hang out for hours after the fact at the location because they were the ones to have the keys to lock up. And what I learned from those scenarios was that there was a club session that they only did what they called it business, but in essence, it wasn't a voting per se session. It was like, hey, this is what we had in our business meeting as a club that everybody who was a member would go to, because that's where all of the discussion was had. That's where the nuts and bolts happened, in terms of discussion about a topic or a move that the club was making or a purchase or, all of the budgeting, all that stuff was all done in a separate space that the membership would all go to. But the monthly club meeting was really just intended to bring prospective hams in, people that were interested, family members that don't know what the hobby, with the intention that when they went through their regular format, the business stuff that they talked about was just only like kind of like they were reading from I hate to say it, a script, but it was just a summary. It was like, hey, this is the 10 things that we all covered. We're just giving you an FYI. And then they dove right into whatever topic they were doing, whatever discussion they had, whatever open, kind of social aspect that they were doing at that time. And that club, from my perspective, flourished because in essence, they knew that their first target and first like kind of, involvement into ham radio was that club meeting. Now, obviously today we've got the internet, we have all of the, other resources that you can find about a club. So website is more important at that, in that realm. But, I still think the value of like having a space and, less about the rule structure for, those that come in. And in my experience, at least, from our club, that's what I can share, is that the people that come in aren't members. Like we've had like probably half a dozen people that maybe are a ham, they're working on their license, they will be a prospective ham, but they're coming in because they saw our club and they wanted to find out more. And the way I look at it, like they're going right into the Robert's Rules stuff and they're seeing all of this formality and like discussion and so forth and so on that, they kind of get, like, is this what the club looks like? And then they have the other talk of like, we have a lecture and then it's so passive. It's so non-engaging for both aspects that they just don't come back because they're like, well, that this is all they really do. And so I'm, kind of in that boat. Like, yeah, we should maybe look at those processes that we do because they all bring value, and everything that Paul discussed and shares and very much, shared here is that's important because you have to have that with like all the things Todd said, accountability, ownership and, discussion and, healthy discussion. All of those things have to be done. But I don't think, from a club perspective, you have one opportunity to be able to bring someone new into the club or someone come into the club. I don't think we're doing that, or any club today is doing that in an effective way because we're just so doing the routine that, maybe it's something that, I'm hoping. And I would love to have more discussion with this because I'm sure there's a bunch of different people with wholly different opinions than all of us that we talked about tonight. And so to kind of put some wrap to this a little bit, because we could go for hours on this and trying to tear it all apart. I'll throw this out here, if your club is doing what we just discussed and, that's a format and you feel like it needs to change, well, you need to figure out why in your own life, why that's important. Like what thing is driving you nuts or not driving you nuts, or what thing is not, shared enough or communicated well, figure out what that is for you first. And then, come up with a better way or suggestive way that, your club can change to meet the need that, might, not be being met at that point. Not to say that you should throw the baby out with the bathwater, because that's not what I'm suggesting here, because that's important to do all of that stuff. If that's the only time you get to do that, like, I mean, that, we didn't touch upon that in saying that, if your club can only meet once a month and they only meet at 3 hours and you have to do business, then you should be doing business because that's the only time you can do it. But if you have other opportunities to be able to branch out, maybe those should be explored and discussed, because you want to create environments for that to happen in. And, I think, from a standpoint of engaging and being out in the community and doing all that definitely happens inside your club meeting too, as well. And how that should look like, well, it shouldn't be that you talk at me, or it shouldn't be a talking head telling me, something about this antenna that's great because he went out and did a POTA with it. And then I leave the club and I've done nothing with it except just absorbed, a warm seat, for 2.5 hours while listening to something that I wished I could go do, versus like your club should be getting those people into POTA and building antennas and learning that stuff and giving them the tools and the skills, because we all know, and Todd's, has said it himself, we all study and we all get our license, but it's a license to start learning. And, what better than a club to start teaching these people how to build an antenna? Like, I haven't built my own antenna yet, but I've had a desire to want to. I know you're looking at me weird, dude. I have not. Not that I don't want to, but in essence, I haven't had like the moment, and no one's pushed me to that moment. I've had a lot of people tell me, you should be pounding the brass, and I should be doing CW, but that's another story for another day. So,
before we wrap, right? I just want to clear something up, because it sounded like you said that when you were first getting interested in ham radio clubs, right, way back when, right, that you were attending an event where they recapped the business meeting at the beginning of the event to say, hey, look, this is what our club is doing, and now let's do this fun thing. But FYI, here's, there is business that goes on, and this is when the next business meeting's going to be. Did I hear you wrong?
Well, yeah. So let me clarify that a little bit. So my first interactions with a club and their business process or their monthly meetings was I went in and they had, gone through basically just a quick summary. There was no like motion to votes. There was no like, let's raise an issue. There was nothing like that, because they all phrased their previous business from their separate business meeting. But what I came to understand is that they had a separate environment where they allowed that to happen. And that's where you would go to if you wanted to, raise an issue, work through problems, be part of solving issues.
Separate business meeting.
Exactly. Correct. Yes.
And then
they'd follow
the event.
rules.
But the event was, hey, we have business meetings, and this is what we did at the last business meeting. Now let's go do something fun.
It was very much like someone reading a chapter and verse out of a book. Yep.
Perfect. Dude, I think that's how it should be done. Like, I don't understand why all these clubs stick to that stupid format of rush through the business because you have to have a lecture. Like, nobody wants to sit through your fucking PowerPoint. Sure. Let's go do something fun.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why they do the PowerPoints is because you have presidents and executive board members that don't have a creative aspect to their, life where they're like, hey, what else can we bring into the environment? Because a lot of people are like, well, I'm just going to line up 12 people that can do the job that I don't want to do, basically, is what it boils down to. And that's kind of why I think that they bring all these people in to do these lectures, because they're hoping to inspire somebody, but they're not inspiring within. They're just bringing people in to feed them information, which, is fine, but it's not really interactive. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. What say ye, Paul? Todd, anything else? Wrap it.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, this one was a tough one, guys. I don't think we came to any solid conclusions, except that, your club is going to probably struggle with some of this stuff.
I came to a conclusion. Paul doesn't like the lectures.
We got that one. Okay, so yes, we came to one point. Screw your lectures. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
fuck your PowerPoint.
Yeah, exactly. Ban PowerPoint. So yeah. So ultimately with that, we just want to throw it out there, guys. If you're struggling with this stuff, we want to hear from you. Head over to our Discord. We'll post this in the show notes, and, let us know what you struggle with, because, we can only be better ham radio operators, club members, better clubs, if we can help each other and learn from that. And, maybe there is a better way. Maybe your club has, gotten over this hump and you just haven't shared the liquid gold on how you do stuff, or maybe, what we just shared about a little bit has inspired you to kind of, try something. So let us know. We want to see, how we can keep this going. And, we need to improve, clubs. And the way we do that is by sharing with one another. Not any one of us has the corner market on ham radio. Sorry. we all do ham radio. We all share the same airwaves. So let's, share information, support each other, and let's be better clubs for the future, for all of those way younger than us that are coming up in the ranks.
There you go.
There you go. All right, cool. All right. Well, with that, let's wrap this up as always. So thank you as always for going through this process with us. Hopefully you found something interesting out of it. I know I did, and I get closer with these guys every day. We truly appreciate those that are, always part of our community like that. and that want to help and continue to see this hobby grow. So we thank you guys for supporting us and supporting the ham radio hobby. And so as always, like we say, you can connect with us by heading over to our Discord server and join in the conversation. There's some awesome channels over there. We're talking about a whole bunch of different stuff, and we'd love to have you be part of that and help that grow. You can always subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't. And again, as we always say, make sure you set that bell to notify you every time we go live or anytime we post something on our YouTube channel. That way, you could always be in the now. And you can always, please, hey, contribute back to the community. If you've got questions, if maybe we've inspired you with this discussion here to want to share something, feel free. Go ahead, pick up that phone, leave us a voicemail and leave us a number. And as I just saw below that I'm way out of the script here, Paul flashed up the Patreon stuff. I haven't done a good job with this. I totally forgot, and I should do this every time. And if Paul, you should kick my ass when I don't. We want to let those paid Patreon numbers know. Ronnie, Jay, Paul Roy, which he's in there. We know. Thank you, Paul. Mike, Ted, Russ, Skidget, Irv, Bob, all you guys, thank you again for supporting us through our Patreon. Because it helps us continue this mission and having fun doing this, and we hope we continue to do this 5 years more, and we continue to grow that as well. And we thank you again for everybody who's helped contributed and supports the show. And as always, head over onto livefreeandham.com and learn about the show. You can pick up the latest episodes. You can check out our cool videos, and you can visit our storefront and pick up any of our latest swags or a sticker pack because you want to. And with that, as always, thanks again for listening from all of us at Live Free and Ham. 7-3.
7-3.